Hey guys, Dr. Joseph Houlik here. This is our first episode of a series we're going to be doing called Obsessed with Success. One of the best definitions of success I've heard is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal or goal. So we want to talk with and interview people who are working towards a goal they have, or if they've had a vision, who are in the process of executing that vision. So we're lucky enough today to have Tajahnae Stocker with us, who is the founder of the ICT Community Fridge Project. So we're going to be getting to know her and diving into that today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We're really honored to have her here. So could you just lead off with telling us a little bit more about the ICT Community Fridge Project?
Yeah. So I want to start off and say that this idea is not new. It's just new to Kansas, but it has always existed. It existed before the pandemic because there's a lot of spaces, a lot of communities who suffer from food insecurity, food swamps, or food apartheid. I just so happened to see this idea on Twitter, and I was like, this is what Wichita needs, because there are communities who live in a food desert. And so I wanted to bring that to the forefront and kind of support those communities the best way I have with our community resources. And so it started in August of 2020. We are 6 months old. We were 6 months old in February. And so we've grown. Yeah, we've grown so much in these last 6 months. Started with our first fridge at Dead Center Vintage, which is 626 East Douglas. And they have been so supportive and so helpful. And that first fridge is increasingly, it's important to me because we help our in-house community. We've seen a lot of changes downtown, a lot of pushing them out, kind of moving them, not giving them the access and the empathy and the love that they need. And so that fridge is there to support them. And so we have actually two on Douglas. Our third one is at 2924 East Douglas, and our second one is at CHD Boxing Club in 67214.
Cool. So like for any viewers out there, could you just like kind of fill them in on what you're actually doing with the fridges and kind of the whole concept behind what you're doing?
Yeah, so it's very simple. It's literally, I partner with a business, a church, a nonprofit, an organization. I provide them a fridge, and that fridge provides free food to anyone directly in that neighborhood, or there's a lot of people who drive like from other neighborhoods to that fridge, but it just provides free food to everybody in the community.
Yeah, that's amazing. So like anyone can go to a fridge and basically get any produce, food, healthcare products too?
We do. Yeah. We have expanded to collect like detergent at certain locations, a pantry. We have hygiene products. So we now have hair care products and like hand soap and things like that. And so it's just evolving.
That's amazing. It's a really, really cool concept. How did you get everything how did you get this to build momentum and actually get it off the ground as far as like...
I have no idea. So I started this in the living room of my apartment. I sat down, I created an Instagram, and I uploaded a video. I was like, hey, it's Tajahnae. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I will say that I have a lot of privilege because I just know a lot of people from Wichita State. I graduated from USD 259, and I was a student leader there. I was in a lot of organizations. I'm grateful to know a lot of people who were like, I know Tajahnae, let's support her. And so I already had a lot of people supporting me in whatever I did. And so when I started this, it was built off of that.
Yeah, well, props to you then for building a great network and making an impact on other people's lives before you try to do something like this, which is work wonders for you.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what inspired you to do, like at its core, kind of what inspired you actually to, because a lot of people have great ideas, they kind of have things they want to do, but then actually doing them is kind of hard. So like what inspires you and kind of what are you really going after with all this?
So with this specific project, it's actually based in experience. And so I grew up in a food insecure area. My parents worked full time and my mom doesn't know how to drive. And so we would have to walk to the nearest store that was close to us in her walking distance because she just couldn't drive. And the closest one was a Dollar General, and then across the street was a Dollar Tree. And then the nearest Dillon's was like 3-4 miles away. And so she wasn't going to walk to a Dillon's to get what we actually needed to like...
Right, to have more options.
Yeah. So she went to the nearest store, which was a Dollar Tree, and they don't have the best or the healthiest options for us. They just have what's available. And it's cheap and it's easy and it was quick to walk there and back. And so I know what it's like to grow up in areas that don't have the resources needed. I know what it's like to miss a meal. I know what it's like to stand in line at a pantry to get bread and things like that. And so I'm privileged enough to have graduated, to have a full-time job now, and to know all these people who have the resources to help others. And so if we could collectively take all of our resources and help our neighbors, that's all I really need. Because there will probably be a time where, like, I'm fired from my job. I know a lot of people who lost their job during the pandemic who were my age or older. So there may be a time where I'm going to need to lean on my community, to lean on the fridge.
Sure.
And so we built this network just to support everybody at whatever.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that probably what a lot of people don't think about when they're driving by grocery stores is they probably see a lot of them, but they don't realize actually getting there. Or, you know, like as far as just the logistics of getting to and from, or I'm sure that's probably more difficult for a lot of people than what they realize. Yeah. So do you have any background in nonprofits or organizing like something like this? Because I'm sure you're probably, now that this has taken off, working with different people, you're probably wearing a lot of different hats and trying to coordinate a lot of different things. Do you have experience working with teams like that?
No.
No?
So, I don't have experience in nonprofits. I don't have experience organizing on this level.
Yeah.
In college, you know, I was like a president of certain clubs or a couple clubs, or I did presentations. Other than that, or maybe I guess on a small scale, I organized like a protest or two. But other than that, at this capacity, I've never done anything like this. I've never organized 100 volunteers. I never organized 3 fridges and keep up with those 3 fridges, or emails and things like that. I've never done this, and so I'm gonna fail a lot. But it's going pretty well.
But all those obviously are not really failures, but just learning experiences.
Yeah, actually,
to just get better at what you're doing. So that's
exactly.
What's been like one of the most challenging or difficult things that you've kind of experienced so far?
I guess.
And trying to get people to work together and trying to coordinate with all the different hats that you're wearing.
Okay, so trying to get people coordinate together, and so that's a really good question. The community fridge, and this one and all the ones across the United States, they're rooted in like collective care, mutual aid, not charity. We don't food police, things like that. And so it's collecting these group of people who have different experiences or are not educated in these topics.
Sure.
And trying to unroot a lot of things that they already know. And so when they first began coming in, I would explain to them, so we don't police the fridges. Meaning if a family comes and they take everything in that fridge, that just means they needed everything in that fridge.
Right, and that's what it is. That's the point of this.
Yeah, and so people would be like, well, that's not fair. They're taking too much. They should only be taking a few things. That we are conditioned to believe that we are deserving of less things, when in fact that we deserve to have a full fridge. We deserve to get paid whatever. Like
absolutely.
And so it's teaching people to kind of undo what we've been taught.
Sure, kind of like shift some of the mindset or some of the thinking associated with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. That's hard to do because a lot of that's up to somebody else. You know, you can control what you can control, and just try and help influence and inspire others by actions, which it sounds like you're doing. So props to you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I know you mentioned it earlier. Could you touch on like the food deserts again, as far as like kind of for viewers who've never heard of them, kind of what they are specifically, and kind of, I had never heard of them actually before doing this. So could you just tell us a little bit more about that?
So a food desert is an area, a community that lacks access to healthy, nutritious foods. And that means it's influenced by a lot of things. And so if you don't have the transportation to get to a grocery store, you're in a food desert. If the nearest grocery stores or food places near you are like fast food restaurants, convenience stores, liquor stores, things like that, you're in a food desert. If you do have access to a grocery store, but they don't have healthy options, you're in a food desert. So you have to have like reliable access to healthy, nutritious foods. And so that, unfortunately, the history in Wichita is we did redlining. I don't know the best way to put it, but redlining is when in the 1930s they drew a red line around certain districts or certain neighborhoods and said, this is undesirable. Don't put businesses here. Don't put bus stops here. Don't do anything. And the people who were in those areas were Black and brown people.
Mm-hmm.
And the city never really did anything to undo that. They kind of just built around that. And so that area, that red line area, is 67214. And so I don't know how often you drive to the east side, but if you drive Oliver and 13th or near Wichita
I live
State.
the east side. Yeah, I'm kind of driving around there.
So that middle area by Wichita State, Oliver and 13th, that's a food desert. They have no grocery stores. And if they do, they have been shut down. But instead of grocery stores, they have dollar stores, Dollar Trees, and Dollar Generals instead, and maybe one Save-A-Lot. So
but
that's
just less options, less development, like less access to what you said as far as good, nutritious options and healthy food. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Where do you see this going from here as far as, obviously you said this has been a national thing or kind of more geographic as far as different areas throughout the country, but like, where do you see this continuing to grow and kind of how do you see this taking shape here in Wichita, like over the next year, up to even 5 years?
Yeah. My original intent was to try and work with the city, influence the city to get grocery stores in these areas, especially like local, independent-owned grocery stores. So not really these big chains, but like local grocery stores that have more access to like fruits and vegetables. Kind of, we're very much a local city.
Right.
Like we support local businesses, so try to influence that here, because the fridges are not sustainable. When you think about it, it's a band-aid on a big problem. It's literally just a fridge outside or a fridge in a business, and it's just comparatively it's just so small compared to what we can really do to help our people.
Sure. Maybe this is just this just came to me. Maybe you could even like go from a fridge to like having a physical space that where people could do the same thing, bring stuff in and have like a miniature grocery store.
Yeah, they actually do that in some places.
Oh, really?
A mutual aid store? Yeah.
Yeah,
or
okay,
a free store.
Do we have those here in Wichita?
We don't have a free store. No.
No. Oh, okay. All right.
That's actually a really good idea. Don't get me. I could start planning this.
No, it's great. Well, I know you know how to put it in action and actually do it. So yeah. For those who have never heard of the project or they don't know where the fridges are at, can you tell us where all the fridges, how many fridges there are right now, if you have any in the works, and kind of where they're located? Yeah,
so we have 2 on Douglas and 1 directly in 67214, that large food desert area. And so Dead Center Vintage is our first one, 626 East Douglas Avenue. CHD Boxing Club, which is 2505 East 9th Street North. And then we have our first 24/7 fridge, which is located outside, and that is 2924 East Douglas Avenue.
Great. So, and then are the locations of these, anyone can go to your guys' social media or website too, just to confirm if they want to Google map it or, Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. How can, for people who are just kind of learning about this or kind of getting more motivated or inspired to help out, how can our viewers, anyone here in the community, kind of best help out with the project?
Yeah. So if you don't have the time, but you have the disposable income or the resources, our first option for you is to always donate food first and then money second. That way you're taking food directly to the community and you don't have to wait for us to grocery shop. And so any of those locations, the first 2 are located in businesses, so we have to be mindful of their business hours. And so whenever they're open, come in, donate pantry items, fill up our fridges, our freezers, things like that. But as for the 24/7 fridge, anytime, just bring food. Whenever you can. If you don't have the time to grocery shop, you can support us through like our Cash App or our PayPal. And we even have an Amazon wish list where you could just buy for us and then get sent to us, and we could just fill it up for you.
So people could donate to that through your guys' website, or where's the best place for them to do that?
So we, on our Instagram and on our Facebook, we always post like our Cash App and our PayPal, our Cash,
on your social media profiles. Okay, that's great. And again, too, like as far as food, like say someone wants to donate food, really, I guess you might think whatever you might like to eat or whatever's healthy, some variety. I guess, is there any kind of guidance on that, or are you just kind of letting individuals kind of put their best thought into what they'd like to donate?
It's definitely whatever you eat. We want the best for our community, and so if you have things in your pantry that's been sitting there for 6 years, maybe don't do that. But really just be intentional with your donations. And so if you know that, I use cooking oil a lot when I cook, well, your neighbor is probably using cooking oil too, and they could use it. For our downtown Douglas locations, we do support our unhoused community a lot, and so we are always offering things for them because they don't have access to like a fridge or a consistent microwave or things like that. And so a lot of tuna, canned products, and being mindful with that when you donate canned goods, a pull tab because not everyone has access to a can opener.
Oh, yeah.
So things like that, beef jerky, protein, things that they can eat on the go because they're just always out.
And that are nutritious and filling. And
Filling, yes, exactly.
Okay. Great. I think that's just about all that I have for it. I guess I do have one more question. Do you know like the demographics of any individuals who are actually coming to the fridges, or is it more, do you have any information on that as far as?
I don't collect their information. We try to keep it anonymous just because they don't. When I see people, I know we support a lot of our unhoused community, and then a lot of just impoverished folk. I don't know like racial demographics or anything.
Sure. Well, I guess that's what I was kind of thinking as far as like you said, like homeless individuals or families in need. Just kind of I'm sure it's probably across the board.
Yeah,
so,
it's a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that's all we have for today. We're going to be actually going and showing you a couple of the fridges, or one of the fridges, so you can actually see in real life what Tajahnae has here going. So I think it's a really cool thing. If you guys want to help, you heard her, try and help stock the fridge best you can. Donate, do whatever you can to help out in our community. Tajahnae, thanks for your time.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, doing some really cool stuff. Thanks, guys. So we're at the Dead Center Vintage ICT Community Fridge Project location. So again, they have 2 projects inside, and they actually have 1 fridge outside. So as you can see, basically this is like a food pantry. All this food's been donated, so any individual, family, anyone can come in here and basically get what they need. And if you check out the fridge, all the same thing in here, guys. Everything's been donated. Anyone can come in here, get what they need, get a healthy meal. And on top of that, they've got cool local artists decorating their fridges. So I hope that shines some light on the ICT Community Fridge Project. Help out however you can. Be sure to check out their website and all their social media links to be able to help out the best you can. Thanks, guys.